8:15 on BBC Radio Kent. It's breakfast right now with Anna and Duncan. I hope you're doing really well. We've been talking about Labour's ideas to put extra tax on holiday homes, which they say would be spent on tackling homelessness instead. And I wonder how you feel about this if you own a holiday home in this county. Obviously, Kent is the Garden of England, and a lot of people do. You know, a lot of people they might live kind of north of the county and choose to go south, or it might be a bit of extra revenue stream for them. Some people have said, well, this is good because it tackles the rich, you know, who can afford to have two homes. Why do you need two homes? Which
a cynic might suggest is why the Labour Party conference threw this line out to the newspapers, the politics of envy, as it always goes down well.
But Barry in Deal has got in touch and says holiday homes should have the council tax quadrupled, not doubled, times 4, he says, because then ordinary homes would be able to be regraded under that system. I suppose it depends if there are enough holiday homes to do the maths on that
Which
one.
there are.
Well, okay,
with 1.5% of the houses in Kent.
But then other people like Vince has got in touch and said, look, my wife was left a bungalow by her father, and we've actually, used that because we've had to live in two different homes because of care reasons. And, our family, as he put it, got off their backside and worked hard to leave a legacy. So give us a call with your thoughts on this one. 0800 756 1111. Meantime, let's talk to Karen Constantine, a Labour councillor at Thanet District Council. The politics of envy, Karen, do you think this is what this policy is about?
No, I don't think so. I think what we've got is a crisis in housing. We've certainly got a crisis in housing in Thanet. And I think this is about trying to close the growing gap between those that have homes and those that don't have homes. And we just really need some imaginative thinking about how we tackle that. I mean, my starting point on this is we've got 120,000 children in temporary accommodation, and there's a huge cost to that. So I think the idea of raising a levy or a tax on holiday homes is actually a really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody would agree with what you just said. We need to do something, don't we, to solve the housing crisis. But we spoke to a local property expert, Henry Pryor, earlier on, and he said this policy is a fly on a windscreen, i.e., it's a nice idea, but it won't do enough to solve that housing crisis.
Yeah, and I agree with him, actually. I mean, it is just a drop in the ocean. But one of the things that people tell me in Thanet is they are aware that there are a lot of empty properties. Now, whether these are holiday homes or whether these are homes that have been left, the fact is we have people sleeping on the street. We see people in shop doorways, and yet at the same time we've got these empty properties. And sometimes they're very difficult to, it's very difficult to track down the owners and find out where the owners are and encourage them to do something with these empty properties. But I mean, really, it's awful to see people sleeping on the street. It's awful to know we've got families, as you know, that are split up across the county and living in various locations. And it's just a dreadful state of affairs with housing. Well, what we really need is we need Labour in power, and we need to build 1 million homes in the next 10 years. And that is the solution to this problem.
Karen, it's Duncan here. In 1997, I graduated from university. I bought my first home with my wife for £115,000 in Tunbridge Wells. For the next 10 years, that property went up in value by about £2,000 a month. It would now cost around about £300,000.
Yes.
I don't think we need Labour back, do we? I mean, people will probably think the millennials that now are completely priced out of the housing market, they cannot afford, no matter how hard they work, no matter how many times they get promoted, they can't afford a house. So to now turn around at the party conference and say, let's tax those rich people with a second holiday home because that will solve the problem. That is tokenism based on a housing crisis created by the Labour government.
Well, I'm not sure it was created by the Labour government, and the actions that the Tories said they were put into place, they haven't taken place either. So we haven't seen since the Tories offered.
You can't now, Karen, because if any
people.
Sorry, but to pick you up on that,
but there's no starter homes either.
No, you cannot. No successive government since the Blair-Brown era has been able to risk raising interest rates, tackling the problem of hugely inflated house prices, because then our economy would collapse. People would be in debt, negative equity. That's not the Tory party's fault, many people would suggest. That is a legacy from Blair.
I think it is, actually. I think there isn't a proper strategy to tackle the housing issue. As I just said, we haven't seen the discount that was promised by the Tories on new starter homes. They promised 280,000. That hasn't happened. We should definitely have built more homes from 1997 on. Sure. That was a mistake on our part. We should have done that. We desperately need affordable homes, and we desperately need social homes. And we've got a massive crisis, and it's not going away.
And you've just said, Karen, that this policy, whilst good, is a drop in the ocean. We're agreed on that. So it's about building those homes. And I think a lot of people would agree, it's not just about sort of affordable homes. We need social homes, don't we? And that's
Yes.
it's not happening, because I guess it's incentivising the business developers to do that as part of their project. How would Labour change the landscape?
Well, I think one of the ways we would tackle this is we would hold the developers to Section 106 and the community interest levy, what's called the CIL money. So we wouldn't want to see any rolling back on that. We would want those developers to make a proper contribution, and we wouldn't want any poor doors either. We would want nice areas for everybody to live in, a good standard of living for everybody. What you've got to remember now, actually, is that with kit housing, we can build reasonably decent houses, fully insulated, for £50,000 and £60,000 for 2 and 3 bedrooms. We need the land and we need to build those. And it would be useful, actually, if local councils could use their asset base of an existing block of council housing, which is valuable, to leverage money to build more social homes. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's really simple now. We need to really build homes to save lives. We've got people sleeping rough. We've got families that are broken up. We've got 120,000 kids in temporary accommodation. There isn't any universe where that's correct.
Karen, thank you.
Thank you,
That's
Karen.
Labour councillor Karen Constantine there, talking about Labour's housing policy generally, but also this idea of taxing you more if you've got a second home, a holiday home in this county.